Welcome, the anointed ones. When God marks you, no one can unmark you, not the enemy, not your past, and definitely not your fears. You weren't just walking through life, you were being observed, not just by people, but by powers, by principalities, and yes, even by that one influential person you least expected. They saw it, not the filters, not the surface. They saw your grit, your spiritual scars, the quiet defiance in your eyes when fear tried to seduce you, and you said, "Not today." Here's a little-known fact. Studies have shown that our brains are biologically wired to focus more on fear than faith. It's a survival instinct. But you rewired yourself spiritually. While most people were binge-watching panic, you chose to walk on water. That alone? That made you stand out like a lit candle in a blackout. And let's be real. You've had moments where you looked at your situation, your bank account, your so-called support system, and thought, Jesus, if this is a test, I better be getting extra credit. But you didn't quit. You chose faith when fear had receipts. You kept going when giving up felt easier. And guess what? Someone with power, reach, and serious influence noticed. And they're not just impressed. They're ready to open a door that was bolted shut for everyone else. So buckle up, chosen one. This isn't just a word of encouragement. This is a divine announcement. You're about to be rewarded in public for what you endured in private. Number 1. Faith. As your foundation, fear as your test. You didn't just decide to have faith one day and expect life to suddenly get easy. You chose faith when fear was breathing down your neck, when everything in your world was giving you a reason to panic. You chose faith not because you weren't scared, but because you were, and still refused to bow to it. That's what separates you. Most people wait until the storm passes to believe. You believed while it raged. You didn't flinch, you didn't fold, and that didn't go unnoticed. What people don't understand is that fear is loud. It screams worst-case scenarios, it taunts with what-ifs, and it loves to repeat old traumas like reruns. Faith, on the other hand, is quiet. It's a whisper that tells you to keep walking even when you can't see the road. That's why only a few ever hear it, and even fewer obey it. You did both. And while others were calculating risks, you were calculating obedience. While they were retreating into comfort, you were advancing into purpose, even when it didn't make sense. That's when your whole trajectory started to shift, quietly, unseen, but powerfully. Because what you didn't know is that choosing faith activates things behind the scenes. Things human eyes can't always catch, but influential eyes can sense. And one of those influential eyes saw you. Not the dressed-up version of you, but the one that got up again and again when fear tried to keep you down. They saw how you moved with purpose, even when you had every reason to collapse. That movement, that defiance in the face of fear, it struck something in them. They know power when they see it. And in you, they saw a quiet kind of power that doesn't come from status or followers or titles. It comes from surviving what should have broken you, and still choosing to believe. Now they want to bless the very thing others dismissed, your faith. Not the fake kind, not the Sunday performance, but the kind that's lived, tested, and worn like armor. And now, that armor is shining, and someone important is ready to reward you for wearing it anyway. Number 2. They watched as you sacrificed, and they recognized the investment. You didn't just survive hardship, you made intentional sacrifices when no one was clapping, no one was helping, and honestly no one cared. You gave from empty pockets, you showed up when you were broken, you stayed when every part of you wanted to walk away. And the people who were watching, some close, some from afar, didn't say much back then, but they were watching. One of them, someone with influence and reach, saw what most missed. The way you kept choosing what was right over what was easy. That kind of sacrifice can't be taught. It comes from a soul that's been refined, not spoiled. Most people are good at performance. They'll show up strong when the lights are on. They'll give when there's an audience. They'll talk about loyalty until it costs them something. But you didn't do it for applause. You did it because your spirit wouldn't let you compromise. Even when you were exhausted, even when no one said thank you. That's what makes your sacrifices different. They were quiet, pure, and consistent. And the truth is, those sacrifices were investments. At the time, it felt like loss. You gave time you couldn't get back. You forgave people who never changed. You worked while others slept, and you never asked for recognition. But those unseen investments started to build something heavy in the spiritual realm: weight, authority, credibility. You've got depth now. You've got receipts that no shortcut can replicate. And now someone who holds real influence sees that depth in you. They've been around enough fake to know what real looks like. And they're not just impressed, they're convicted. Your life exposes the laziness in others. It reveals what endurance looks like. And because of that, they want to honor what you've sown, not just with compliments, but with something tangible, an opportunity, a breakthrough, a reward that actually reflects the cost you paid when nobody else could see it. Because someone with eyes that matter saw you choosing integrity when it wasn't profitable, and now they're about to return the favor. Number 3, the underdog rise. They didn't expect you to rise. Let's be honest. Most people counted you out before you even got started. You weren't from the right background, didn't have the right connections, and you definitely didn't play the game the way they wanted you to. They had you pegged as the underdog, the one who'd fizzle out quietly. But what they didn't know was that God had already written you into a storyline they couldn't touch. While they were busy sizing you up based on appearances, heaven was setting you up for a plot twist that's now becoming impossible to ignore. You didn't rise through strategy, manipulation, or charm. You rose through pain, process, and persistence. They saw you losing and thought you were weak. What they didn't see was how those losses were stretching you, preparing you, stripping away what wasn't needed. Every no built your strength. Every delay built your patience. Every betrayal built your discernment. And now, you're becoming someone they can't box in, can't figure out, and honestly, can't stop watching. And the best part? That influential person, the one with real power and the ability to change your entire path, saw it too. Not just your comeback, but the way you didn't become bitter. You didn't sell your soul to get ahead. You didn't need the spotlight to keep going. They saw how you kept your character intact when you had every reason to compromise. That's what stood out to them. That's what made them pay attention. Now they're realizing you're not a charity case. You're a hidden gem. And the same people who used to ignore you are now trying to figure out how to be in your space. But the one who really matters, the one with access, is the one who's about to unlock a door that was never meant to be opened for you until now. Because you didn't just rise, you rose with grace, with grit, and with God. And that kind of rise, it demands recognition, and it's coming. Number 4, faith is the quiet force that moves mountains. You didn't fight with noise or drama. You fought with a quiet, relentless belief that God was guiding you every step of the way. While others ran from challenges, you chose to lean into them, not because they didn't scare you, but because you trusted that each challenge was a stepping stone to your purpose. You didn't make a spectacle of your struggles, and you didn't need the world to validate your journey. Your faith wasn't flashy. It didn't need to be. It was rooted deep, like a tree with its roots buried in soil no one else could see. But what they didn't realize was that deep faith moves mountains in ways no one expects. When the storm came, you didn't shout at the sky or demand things change. You held your ground. You endured. You did the work behind the scenes, knowing that true transformation happens quietly, like seeds growing in the dark before they break the surface. You weren't looking for applause or accolades. You were building something far more powerful, an unshakable foundation that couldn't be taken from you, no matter what came your way. Now, as the dust settles and your influence begins to spread, those who once looked down on you are scrambling to be a part of your story. They see what you've become, a force they can't ignore. The quiet, unwavering faith you carried has transformed into something undeniable. The mountain you moved wasn't just in your own life, but in the lives of those who are now watching, waiting to see how they can get in your orbit. What they didn't understand is that the quietest warriors often leave the most profound legacies. Now they see it, and they can't look away. Your journey is no longer a whisper, it's a roar, and it's only just beginning. Number 5, you're not here by chance, you're here by design. You're not here by chance, you're here by design. Every setback, every failure, and every moment of doubt was a part of the blueprint that was carefully crafted for you long before you even knew your name. It wasn't luck that got you to this point, nor was it coincidence. It was divine intention, guiding you through every twist and turn, shaping you into someone who could handle the weight of your purpose. You've been through enough to know that what you've survived isn't random. It's all been a part of a grander plan, and now someone influential has caught on to that truth. They see something in you that they can't ignore. It's not just what you have now. It's the full arc of your story that's unfolding before their eyes. They're witnessing the culmination of years of unseen struggles, the quiet moments where you pushed through when no one was watching. They're seeing how all those seemingly meaningless chapters of pain, rejection, and hardship were the very fire that forged your resilience and built your destiny. You were shaped for this moment, and they recognize that. They see the depth in your soul, the strength that has been built over time, and they understand that your journey wasn't just about surviving. It was about becoming the person you are now, the one who can change everything. They're not just impressed by what you've done so far. They're in awe of who you're becoming and the path you're on. They're beginning to understand that you didn't just get here by accident. Your life is a story of divine alignment, and now they want to be part of that story. They want to invest in your future because they see where you're headed, and they know it's a journey that's too important to miss. This is bigger than chance. This is destiny unfolding, and they want to walk alongside you as you fulfill it. Number 6. You showed them what true strength looks like. Most people think strength is about the noise you make, the power you project, or the followers you have. They think it's about flexing, boasting, or showing off your victories. But the truth is, true strength isn't loud. It's not in the flash or the immediate gratification. It's in the quiet, unshakable resolve that gets you through the hardest days when no one's around to cheer you on. True strength is in the way you hold your ground when everything around you tries to push you down. It's in the way you rise every single time life knocks you flat. It's the steady rhythm of your consistency when the world around you is spinning off balance, when people are hopping from trend to trend and chaos feels like the norm. You've shown what strength really is. You didn't need to shout it from the rooftops. Your actions spoke louder than any words could. While others were bouncing from one crisis to another, throwing in the towel or giving up the moment it got hard, you stayed grounded. You kept going, even when you didn't feel like it. You didn't need validation, and you didn't need praise. You just kept moving forward with quiet determination, and that's where your true strength lies, in your ability to stay the course, no matter how many times you stumbled or how heavy the burden got. Now that strength has become a beacon. It's not just inspiring people, it's becoming the example that those with influence look to as the ultimate blueprint for success. They see the way you carry yourself through trials, how you don't buckle under pressure, how you continue to rise, and they realize that's the kind of strength that's truly worth following. Your resilience isn't just a trait, it's a model of power that others now want to replicate. They're looking at you and thinking, that's what it takes. Because you've shown them what strength truly looks like, and it's silent, steady, and unwavering. Number 7, fear wasn't the enemy, complacency was. Fear was never your true enemy. It was complacency that threatened to keep you stuck. Fear is just a feeling. It comes and goes, rises and falls. But complacency is a slow, steady killer. It convinces people that where they are is good enough, that they can just coast through life without pushing themselves, without stepping outside of their comfort zone. That's what most people fall for, the illusion of peace in stagnation. They avoid risk, they avoid discomfort, and in doing so, they avoid growth. You, however, recognize something crucial. Fear was a sign that something big was on the horizon. Fear was a clue that you were on the edge of something new, something life-changing. You didn't run from fear, you ran toward it. You knew that, as uncomfortable as it felt, that discomfort was the only thing standing between you and the life you were meant to create. While others let fear paralyze them into inaction, you chose to move anyway. Every step forward, despite the fear, was a declaration that you weren't going to let the illusion of safety keep you from your purpose. You chose action, and in doing so, you chose transformation. Now, the very thing that used to hold people back, that same complacency, is what they're beginning to recognize as the true barrier to success. They see that you moved even when it wasn't comfortable. They see that you acted when everyone else hesitated. And now they're scrambling to reward you, to catch up, because they realize it was never about avoiding fear. It was about having the courage to act in spite of it. That's what sets you apart. And as they start to understand that, they can't help but acknowledge that your willingness to push forward, no matter what, is the real reason you're winning. It wasn't the fear that kept you down. It was the refusal to settle for anything less than your best. Number 8. You're not waiting for a blessing. You're manifesting it. You're not sitting around waiting for a blessing to fall into your lap. You're out here actively manifesting it. And there's a huge difference. Waiting for a blessing is passive. It's hoping that one day things will fall into place, that circumstances will shift in your favor while you sit still and wait. But manifesting a blessing? That's active. It's realizing that God's timing isn't some abstract concept that just magically aligns on its own. God's timing works through your actions, through your decisions, and through your willingness to show up, even when it feels like nothing is happening. You didn't just wait for opportunities to come knocking. You didn't stand in the middle of your circumstances and pray for things to change. You took action. Every step you took was a declaration that the future you were envisioning wasn't just a dream. It was a reality that was already taking shape. Each leap of faith you made was another brick in the foundation of what you knew was already yours. You didn't need the world to see it to believe it. You understood that manifestation isn't just about wishing for something. It's about doing the work to align yourself with what you're destined for, even when you couldn't see the full picture. Now that future you were building isn't just some abstract hope. It's your present. And someone with real power sees it clearly. They see the vision you've been chasing, the sweat, the persistence, and the quiet confidence that has led you to this moment. What you've manifested through your hard work, determination, and unwavering belief is undeniable. And the person who's now noticing you doesn't just see what you have in this moment. They see the vision you've been bringing to life all along. And they want to be a part of it. You didn't wait for your blessing. You made it happen. Number 9. Your journey didn't just change you, it shaped others. Your journey didn't just change you, it shaped everyone around you. People often forget that when someone chosen goes through hardship, it's not just about their personal transformation. It's about the impact they have on the world around them. As you faced trials, you became a living testimony for others. You weren't just battling for your own survival, you were showing others what it looks like to endure, to rise, to stay true to your purpose even when it feels like everything is falling apart. You became the example of divine resilience, the proof that with faith and persistence, nothing is too great to overcome. People saw you struggle, they watched you fall, and they witnessed you get back up. And with each step you weren't just getting stronger. You were lighting the way for those who were too afraid to take the same risks, those who had given up, those who had lost their way. Your story became their story. Your perseverance became their inspiration. They saw how you held on, how you refused to let the storm break you, and in doing so, you showed them that they too could rise. You gave them the courage to keep going when they thought they couldn't. And that's something that can never be underestimated. Now, there's someone influential who sees the depth of what you've done. They recognize how your journey wasn't just about you winning. It was about you lighting the way for others to follow. They understand that your success is the result of the strength you showed through your struggles, and they want the world to see it. They want to make sure your story gets told because it's not just inspiring, it's transformational. Your journey has illuminated a path for others, and the person with power wants to amplify that light so that others can find their way too. Your impact isn't just about where you've been. It's about the lives you've touched along the way. Number 10. Unseen faith attracts unseen forces. When you decided to trust God instead of relying on your circumstances, you aligned yourself with an unseen force, a divine current that quietly shapes and sustains everything in your life. It wasn't something you had to shout about or make obvious to everyone. It was something deeply personal and profoundly powerful. You stopped looking at the immediate challenges, the setbacks, or the obstacles that others let define their path. Instead, you trusted that something greater was at work behind the scenes, moving in ways no one else could see, but that you could feel. And in doing so, you tapped into a flow that didn't just carry you through, but elevated you to levels far beyond what anyone thought possible. Those with influence, who are now starting to take notice, didn't always see this force. In fact, they might have once thought it was just coincidence or luck that kept you going. But now, they're watching closely, and they can't ignore the power that moves through your life. They see it in your decisions, in the way things fall into place when they shouldn't, in the doors that open when they seemed shut, and in the way you rise in moments when others would fall. They're beginning to understand that there's something bigger at play, something beyond human effort, beyond strategy, beyond what they could ever accomplish on their own. This alignment with the divine current is what draws them to you now. It's not your words or your image that caught their attention. It's the quiet, undeniable force moving through your life. They see the impact of your faith, even if they didn't understand it at first. And now they know there's something here, something that transcends what they thought was possible. This unseen force is what's taking you places no one else can go. And it's this very force that is now attracting the powerful people who want to be a part of your journey. They can't deny what they see moving in your life, and they want to tap into it too. Number 11. They thought you were waiting for permission. They thought you were waiting for permission, waiting for someone to give you the green light, for the world to recognize your worth, or for the right circumstances to align before you could make your move. What they didn't understand, though, was that your faith wasn't dependent on their approval or validation. You weren't sitting around hoping someone would notice you or give you the recognition you deserved. You weren't waiting for accolades or applause. You were waiting for something much bigger. You were waiting for God to show you the next step. And that's exactly what happened. Every move you made, every decision you took, was made in divine alignment with the purpose that had already been set for you. While they were busy watching you, assuming you were waiting for external signs to push you forward, you were moving at the pace that heaven had set for you. You weren't looking for permission from people because you knew that true permission came from a higher source. Your only audience was heaven, and that was all you ever needed. You trusted that God would reveal the next step when the time was right, and you acted in faith, not in the fear of waiting for someone else to tell you it was okay. And now, those who once misunderstood you are beginning to see that it was never about them. It was always about the bigger picture, the divine plan unfolding at its own perfect pace. They're now realizing that you weren't waiting for their approval. You were operating in obedience to a higher calling. You weren't concerned with timelines or expectations set by others. You were simply following the guidance that had already been given to you, and that's why, even when the world couldn't see it, you were always moving forward. And now, as they watch you succeed, they're coming to understand that your faith wasn't about waiting for permission from anyone. It was about trusting in the path that had already been paved for you. Number 12. Faith over fear isn't just a phrase, it's your identity. Faith over fear isn't just a catchy phrase you toss around. It's not something you say to sound inspirational or to give people something to look up to. It's the essence of who you are at your core. It's been the compass guiding every step you've taken, the anchor keeping you grounded through every storm. While others tried to control every outcome, hold on to certainty and avoid risk, you made the conscious decision to release the need for everything to be figured out. You embraced the unknown, knowing that sometimes the greatest leap of faith is jumping without knowing exactly how the landing will look. And you've done it again and again, each time finding your footing in places where others might have feared to even step. This decision, this way of living, has transformed you into something greater than just someone who faces challenges. It's marked you with a divine identity, one that's not defined by what you've endured, but by the way you've risen through it. Your unwavering faith has become a living testament to a higher purpose, not just for you, but for everyone who watches your journey. It's not just about surviving the storms, it's about thriving in the face of them. And that, right there, is what makes you stand out in ways others can't deny. Now, the influential people who once overlooked you are starting to recognize this power, this divine essence that radiates from within you. They see that you're not just someone who made it through tough times. You are a living manifestation of divine purpose, a living example that faith, not fear, is what creates lasting transformation. You've become a beacon of something far greater than yourself, and they want to connect with that. They're recognizing that you are the embodiment of everything they've been searching for: resilience, divine guidance, and the courage to walk boldly in faith, even when the path ahead is unclear. You are no longer just a survivor. You are a symbol of faith in action, and that's what makes you irresistible to those with power. Number 13. What you overcame, they will never understand. But it's not for them to understand. They'll never fully understand the weight of what you carried. The sleepless nights, the constant battles, the unseen suffering that you had to endure in silence. The moments where you had to fight when no one was watching. The times when you felt like giving up but found a way to keep pushing forward. All those things, the pain, the struggle, the emotional toll, they were yours alone to bear. And the truth is, they don't have to understand it. It was never about them grasping the full extent of your journey. It was never about getting validation for what you've been through. What matters now is that they see the results of everything you've overcome. They see the strength that now radiates from you, the clarity with which you navigate life, and the undeniable purpose that guides your every move. It's not just about the struggles you faced, it's about what those struggles forged in you. Every hardship, every obstacle, every setback became a stepping stone to the person you are today, the person they now see as invaluable. Your ability to turn trials into triumphs, to rise after each fall, to keep moving forward even when the world tried to knock you back, is what makes you stand out. They may not understand the depth of your scars, the internal wars you fought, or the silent moments of fear and doubt you had to face, but they see the result. They see the fire in your eyes, the unshakable confidence, the way you carry yourself with grace despite it all. And that's what makes you an asset they're about to reward. They recognize the value in you because of what you've survived. They see your resilience and they want to be part of the story you're now living, a story that no one could have written but you. And even though they may never fully comprehend the journey you've walked, they know one thing for sure: you're a force to be reckoned with, and that's why they're drawn to you now. Number 14. Your faith was a seed. Now it's bearing fruit. Your faith was never just a feeling. It was a choice you made over and over, even when there was no evidence that things would get better. While others gave up when things got hard, you kept going, you kept planting. Every small act of obedience, every time you showed up when it didn't make sense, every silent prayer and private sacrifice, those were seeds. And though no one saw the struggle that went into those moments, heaven took note. You weren't just surviving, you were building something sacred in the unseen, something that couldn't be rushed or faked. And now, without forcing it, that seed is bearing fruit. The harvest is showing up in ways you didn't expect. Not just in what you have, but in who you've become. You carry peace where there used to be chaos. You walk with wisdom that others can't explain. The transformation is visible, undeniable. And it's not just affecting your life. Everyone around you is starting to shift because of the environment your faith created. Your atmosphere is changing people. Your presence now speaks volumes, not because you're trying to impress anyone, but because your life itself is proof of what faith can produce. That influential person who's starting to notice you isn't just impressed by what you've achieved. They feel the depth behind your growth. They sense the weight of the journey. They're not just drawn to the fruit they see now. They see the potential for even greater abundance ahead. They know that anyone who can hold on that long, build that faithfully, and stay that grounded is someone worth investing in. They're not just rewarding your outcome. They're honoring the process you trusted when nothing around you made sense. And that's the beauty of it. You're being elevated not just because of what you did, but because of who you remained while doing it. Here's your superb, deeply rooted conclusion, crafted to feel like both a victory lap and a spiritual awakening. The world is finally catching up to what heaven already knew about you. This wasn't luck. This wasn't coincidence. This was divine orchestration in motion. A masterpiece that took years, tears, silence, and resilience to unfold. While others were performing for applause, you were being refined in private. While they chased validation, you chased alignment. You didn't beg for doors to open, you became the key. And now, what was once hidden is being honored. What was once overlooked is now being pursued. You didn't just choose faith over fear, you became faith in motion. Your journey wasn't about proving anyone wrong, it was about proving God right. The reward coming your way isn't charity, it's recognition. Divine recognition, filtered through the hands of those in high places who now realize, you're not just a story worth hearing, you're a force worth standing beside. So don't be surprised when the very people who once doubted you now ask to partner with you. Don't be shocked when opportunities you never chased suddenly chase you. And don't downplay what's coming. This is not the peak. This is just the public beginning of what heaven already celebrated in private. You walked through fire without the world watching. Now, you'll be crowned with favor, with the world paying attention. And not for who they thought you were, but for who God always knew you'd become. You were never waiting for their spotlight. You carried your own light the entire time. If this message spoke to your spirit, don't just scroll away. Take a moment to pour back into what poured into you. Like this video if it gave you that aha moment. Comment below and let us know which part hit the deepest. Your story matters. Subscribe if you haven't already, because this is just the beginning of what God is revealing. And share this with someone who needs a reminder that faith isn't weakness, it's divine strategy. You're not just watching, you're part of a movement. Let's grow it together.